wanted to talk about a series of books that I just read. It's not complete, but it's called The Lost Gate and The Gate Thief. So, and these books are by the author, same author as Ender's Game, Scott Orson Card. The books detail the life and times of this guy named Danny North, and he starts out the series at a young age, ends up being like a late teenager by the end of the second book. Third book is still in the works. In this book, they're the descendants of mythological gods and goddesses of old civilizations, and Danny North is of the Norse. People in these books are mages of all different sorts, which is one of the main things I liked about the book, were the concept of magery. Though it's not a new concept of having people having magical powers and being able to control the elements, animals, stuff like that, but in this one, the Lost Gate and the Gate Thief, they have very interesting magery, and there's like broad categories of magery, and then there's different like classifications. And Danny North is a gate father. It's frowned upon since the last great gate father, Loki. Not the Loki, but like anyone who's a gate mage in the North family is referred to as Loki. Just like the leader is Odin, and the next in command is Thor, and his wife is Frigga, whatever. Basically, this book describes life on Earth, and on the Earth-like counterpart, where all of the gods and goddesses originate from, and how they seem to be permanently separated from one another. And on Earth, it follows the story of Danny North, and on the other planet, it follows the story of Wad. Since you now have a quick and brief summary, I'm going to go over things that I liked about the book before I go over things that I didn't like. I loved the plot. It was very buried under an enormous pile of garbage, but I overall loved like the story. The concept of magery I really enjoyed in this book, because it's not just like if your mother is a gate father and your father was a gate father, you're a gate father. For instance, you can have someone who's like a beast friend who's like, I'm gonna fly with the birds, it's gonna be great. And then your mom is like, I'm a water master, I'm gonna be like a water bender, basically. And then you can be something entirely different from those two. You just have to have the magery gene. I very much enjoyed that new kind of refreshing look at magery, rather than just like, oh, your mom's a firebender and your dad's a firebender, you're gonna be a firebender. The mythology in this book isn't limited to just like Norse gods and Greek gods. There's gods from all kinds of cultures, which I think is really refreshing. They haven't really been touched on as greatly as the Greeks and the Norse, but they're included, but there are some problems with it. Things I had trouble with in this book. Though the most powerful mage among all of the mages mentioned in the book so far, besides Danny, because he's the main character, obviously he's gonna be the most powerful mage, whatever, was a female. I won't say who it is. There are major character flaws with all of the female characters in these books. They are either superficially silly, like this one lady Danny comes across is another mage of his type, gate maging, and she's so ridiculous in a way that, like, rather than making her eccentric, like I think was the point was that she's supposed to be eccentric, but she's just unrealistically silly in a way that like is almost degrading. And the majority of the other women in this book are baby crazy. As soon as one character finds out another character is a powerful mage, this goes in like several instances. This isn't just one instance, this is several instances. Immediately, regardless of age, position of power, like socioeconomic class, they're like, I want to have your babies immediately. In the instance of one character wants to have children because she's an adult, biological clock is ticking, whatever. But the other one's like 16 and only wants to like have this baby because Danny is a powerful wizard in her eyes. One instance in particular, Danny's talking to this one girl, and she's like, the first thing I thought of, like, when you're going off to war, like, you could die, and my hands went to my uterus. You're 16, Orson. Learn how to rate female characters, okay? Second major problem I had with these books. People of color are automatically given a negative connotation. The first two people of color that enter this book One has your stereotypical daddy issues and is like a sexual deviant because I guess all girls who have daddy issues are sexual deviants, and she's also a person of color, which was like a double whammy of things I didn't like. And the second guy was just like an enabler for this girl because he loved her and like he didn't exactly help, so he was seen as a negative person to Danny. This entire race of people of color, probably like Middle Eastern Arabic descent, are super evil for no reason. They're in a gas station, like convenience store, and of course the guy running it is a person of color because white people can't run gas stations apparently. He's automatically a villain, and anyone who isn't white is a villain in this book, which is obviously not a really good thing to have in a book. It's not aimed for children. It was in like the sci-fi adult literature section, but like and the third major problem I had with this book was the usages of the words gay and bitch as the ultimate insults to anyone's character. For example, one little high school chickie has feelings for Danny. Normal. He does not want to reciprocate because he realizes, the only thing I want from you is something physical, and I don't want to be a jerk. Rather grown-up thought processes from a 16-year-old boy. But as soon as he kind of like brushes off her advances, she's like, see guys, I told you he was gay. Other instances where it's like, Danny's having a lot of girl troubles. He's like, the one time I sympathize with the gays. Can you not? Can you not? And bitch being the ultimate insult for a woman. Like, there's so many examples in these books that I can't even just pinpoint one off the top of my head. But overall, the plot is great. Like, the story and the setting is fantastic, and this world that Card is creating is wonderful. It's just buried under this enormous slop of shit. It took away from my ability to enjoy the story because I hated Danny. I hated most of the major characters as I got to know them more. I was just like, this is entirely ridiculous. And the best part for me was the Miami Herald says of The Gate Thief, Card is a formidable storyteller with many strengths, particularly that of making the reader like and identify with his protagonists. Of the 3 people I have known who read this book, none of us like the protagonists. I loved Ender's Game. He wrote Ender's Game. Loved Ender's Game. Because his, like, blatant racism, homophobia, and misogyny was kind of buried deep down. It wasn't overall distracting to the story. It's super distracting. You can read them if you like. I'm probably not going to be holding my breath for the third one. Like, I want to know how everything ends. It ends on a cliffhanger, obviously. But would I recommend it to you? There are much better books about similar topics than these. Thanks for watching.